What's going on, y'all? I'm your host, Cool Colas, and you are now tuning into a new video on my channel. For today's video, we're going to be talking about the new Superman movie that just came out, and I'm going to be giving you my quick thoughts on how I felt about this movie overall. So let's get into it. So I go to this movie theater called Synergy, as I've told you all about before. And this is my new thing because my wife loves going there and I also like it as well too. So we had a chance to go there, get our tickets, sit down, and for those of y'all who do not know much about this movie theater, you can sit down and you can order food as well too. So I'm going to the register where you check out and you're getting your tickets. And so the lady who was there, it was a sister, and she stops us as we're about to go into the movie theater, and she asks my wife if she has any liquids, food, because she can't bring food from the outside, and she briefly checks her purse to make sure that she doesn't have any of this stuff. And then she also says something about how it's a part of their policy. So I just am going to tell you all right now, it was the most random shit ever because I have never been to a movie theater where they have checked a bag or a purse or whatever of whoever was there with me. It just was a new thing. Now I'm thinking that they might be cracking down now on people bringing things in. Mind you, we didn't have anything, but this is kind of a new thing. Now, I ain't gonna lie, I definitely was that guy who basically told my wife, look, you need to take them tacos that we done got from Del Taco and you need to stuff them bad boys in your purse so that we can smash them while we in the movie theater. I'm like, yeah, babe, you need to put that hot sauce and that mild sauce in your purse too, because I ain't about to just eat some dry tacos while we in the movie theater, because I'm about to have the whole hookup. I've definitely been that person before, but I didn't do it this time. Now, regardless of all that, I'm looking at that and I'm like, a lot of these movie theaters don't want nobody to pay $30 for a chicken finger basket with some old ass fries. And also my thing was, do you do that to everybody who walks up in that bitch? Let's just be real. So we get into the movie theater, we get our food, everything was cool. It was a little more packed than it usually is at this movie theater, because typically when we go, there'll be a nice bit of empty seats. This time it was a nice bit of people who were in this movie theater chilling, waiting for their food and then waiting for the movie to come on. So going in, I had a pretty decently filled movie theater experience, but nobody was loud, nobody was out of pocket. I ain't hear no kids crying or screaming or nothing like that, so I had no problems with it. First of all, I also want to say that I didn't really think the advertisement for this movie was too good, because I'd learned that this was a movie that was coming out literally a week before I even saw it. So that told you a lot about what I even knew about that. And as y'all know, I'm a big person on watching DC and Marvel comic movies and TV shows. And this was one that I just didn't know anything about. So it was kind of new to me, but I was interested. And I heard a few people say some good things about it. So I wanted to go and catch it and see it for myself. I ain't gonna lie to y'all, I was pretty surprised by how good this movie was, because I wasn't expecting it to be of this quality. Like, I thought it was just gonna be another Superman flick that really wasn't gonna be about nothing, but I was wrong. It kind of brought me back to the Superman and Lois Arrowverse TV show. You know, when I first watched it, I was like, wasn't nobody anticipating this, and definitely didn't nobody ask for this. So, I mean, I watch it because, I mean, I still want to see what it's about, good or bad, but it ended up being really good, just randomly. The movie was the same way, y'all. I actually really enjoyed the Superman movie, as a matter of fact. This movie was a little on the comical side. They did a lot of jokiness, but to me, I felt like it was well done. It wasn't like the movie Thor, Love and Thunder, where they just overdid the jokes and then it was just a little bit too much, or any other Marvel movie really where you see that they're overdoing the jokes to the point where you're like, okay, you ain't got to put these stupid, unfunny jokes in every damn movie that y'all have. And I mean, it's the same type of comedy. It wasn't really like that. This was actually a movie where I felt like the tone was actually paced really well. And they also told a good story enough where even if you were tired of that humor or whatever the case may be, the story actually was still good, where you could enjoy it and you could understand where they were going with it. They kept this movie very lighthearted, and I definitely appreciated that. I thought that they also had a very good array of characters, and it was a very good introduction back into a new DC universe, this being the DCU versus the DCEU. So I'll give my thoughts on the characters, but the guy who played Superman, I thought he did a decent job. I've never seen this guy before, but I thought he was a pretty decent Superman. I thought he played the role pretty well. I thought that this was a good Lois Lane as well too. I also liked the fact that they were showing what their relationship was like before they actually got married. So, you know, if you look at the TV show, it was more of they were on one accord. And that showed where they had already been married, had a family, had kids, and all this other stuff. In this movie, they were just kind of in the middle of the dating phase, and they were kind of bickering and arguing and all this other stuff. So I like how they kind of, you know, changed up the way that relationship dynamic went. I like how this movie felt like a real revamp, like they were trying to bring things back true to form, and they brought it back to the basics. I'll give you an example of what I mean by that. Look at characters like Supergirl or Kara Zor-El. They showed her in this movie, and it was briefly, but she was still in the movie. And the way that they portrayed her personality was how I imagined that Kara was going to be. Now, in the Supergirl TV show, the Arrowverse show, she was very da-da-da-da. But if you saw how her character was in this movie, it was more closely related to the Justice League cartoon, where she was a little bit more sassy. She was a little bit more irresponsible. She liked to party. She was very rebellious. She was very spontaneous. So you could see that all in her character, or at least the way they portrayed her character in this movie. So I definitely appreciated that. Now, again, that was a small thing, but that shows you how they paid attention to details and to things that actually mattered. I also really liked the revamp of the Mr. Terrific character, because I'm going to be honest, y'all. That Arrowverse Mr. Terrific, that was a shit show. I mean, we going to do a video about it. We going to break it all down, and I'm going to tell you why it is. But this was like night and day, y'all. I mean, the Mr. Terrific that they had in this movie was a badass. Let's just be real. I mean, dude literally went to this military base, and he done knocked everybody over with his T-spears, and he was still whooping ass. And, you know, I just really appreciated the way that his character was done overall. Now, there were a few things that I wish still were a little bit different, and I like kind of noticed, and I kind of tilted my head a little bit. But, you know, for the most part, I really enjoyed this character, and I thought that they did a great job in revamping what they created when you're comparing it to what we saw in the Arrowverse TV show. Another true to form thing that I appreciated was the Crypto the Superdog thing. That was pretty cool because it brought it back to the basics. You haven't really seen a lot of TV shows and movies recently where they had Crypto the Superdog as a character. And I also thought that he added some humor to this movie as well too that legitimately was funny. Think about when he had attacked Lex Luthor. That was actually funny because he was swinging him back around and beating his ass and all types of shit. And then it kind of, when you were watching it, reminded you of when Hulk was slamming Loki back and forth in Avengers. The action in this movie was good. The plot was good. Now, one thing we do have to talk about is kind of some of the messages that they were trying to show in this movie as well, and breaking that down a little bit further. But it's clear that they were trying to talk about the issue of immigration politically. And I'll get into the nuances of that in another video, but I could tell that they were kind of going in that route, and they were trying to equate Superman to that of an immigrant in America. So they were trying to portray this theme and all the themes that are going on politically in our real world around what was happening in this movie. Now let's go ahead and get into the cons of this movie. The first con, I wasn't really a big fan of Hawk Girl for multiple reasons. Number one, her character didn't really do anything for me. I get that they're trying to introduce her as a new character to this world, but she just really was just there. There's nothing special. Number two, I'm not really a fan of non-black Hawk girls. And I get it, the cartoon didn't really have her as a black character either. But the reason why I'm not a fan is because I believe that this character should be true to the cultural origins. This was an Egyptian-based character, so it would make sense for this character to be black. Because even if you look at Hawkman in the DCEU, he was black. So I wish that this was a black character, but this is just a personal thing for me. Now, My second thing that I thought was a con was I believe that the whole universe thing is kind of confusing. So in other words, if you look at the DCU, they clearly have a new Superman. They clearly have a new Supergirl. But then they're showing Peacemaker on the television because he's talking about his thoughts on Superman as a superhero. But that's weird to me because Peacemaker is in the DCEU. I know that this was their attempt at a cameo, but it made things confusing because now I'm wondering, so who's in what universe? It just doesn't really make sense. The third thing that was a con for me was I felt that they could have played the whole villain thing better. I didn't really feel like the villain was that pivotal to the story. Like Lex Luthor was, obviously, but the villain being Ultraman didn't really do anything in my eyes that was extremely crucial or made me be like, oh wow, this was a great placement for this movie. I felt like he was kind of just there, although he clearly was a central villain. As a matter of fact, through a lot of the movie, he was treated as if he was one of those secondary villains who get killed off 3/4 into the movie or gets defeated 3/4 into the movie. The thing about Ultraman is I wanted to kind of see more. I wanted to see more of a fight scene where Ultraman and the Engineer were fighting Superman and then maybe Mr. Terrific. And then Mr. Terrific had taken out the Engineer and then he lost to Ultraman, who was going to be a copy of Superman. So in other words, it was okay that they copied Superman, but to me, the way they played it out, I just thought could have been a little bit better. Overall, if I had to rate this movie, I would give it somewhere between an 8 and an 8.5 out of 10. I thought it was a great movie. I really enjoyed it. Even with the flaws, they weren't big flaws. They were just things that I kind of noticed and I was like, yeah, this could have been a little bit better. But for DC, this was definitely an upgrade from the different types of movies that we've been seeing over the years. This was one of their better movies, in my opinion. And they really kind of set the bar in a good place now that they're starting over with this new DCU universe. And a lot of people are saying that this is all due to James Gunn and his writing and how he creates a movie and how he creates characters. But me personally, I enjoyed what I had watched thoroughly, and I think that you all should go check it out too if you are a DC or even Marvel comic book, movie, or TV show fan. All right, y'all, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed what I had to say, and I'll definitely have more to come, so make sure you stay tuned. In the meantime, make sure that you like this video, subscribe, share, and hit the bell icon so you get notifications for whenever I come out with new content on this channel. Other than that, I'll talk to y'all later. Peace out, y'all.